listen to yourself more and go after what you want instead of going after what people want for you. There was a there was definitely a period that I do remember where I was people pleasing and appeasing, and whether it was at work, for the family, and even for the shows, the poetry shows, where I was writing stuff, I was doing stuff for everybody else's you know satisfaction, and it wasn't really where my heart was. It wasn't really where my love was. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. So you wound up finding yourself, having to find yourself within it, so that you could be happy within yourself.
Indeed, yes, sir.
Ooh, I told you. I told y'all don't come here on an empty to come on an empty stomach because that boy cooking.
Hey yo, G Dash, boy, take your hat off. Fine. This week on Hats Off with G Dash Jones. Yeah, y'all know what you're watching. Oh, it's Hats Off with your boy G Dash Jones. Woo-wee. Yes. And this is right here. Oh, we opening up with Need That by the Laboratory Boys. Yeah. Hold on, I gotta let it just hit like. Oh, you hear the bop. Oh, you hear the bop. Y'all know what we talking about. Hold up. I told y'all, it's Hats Off with your boy G-Dash Jones. This is Laboratory Boys. I'm gonna hit it with that. Skirt! That's a fact. Shouts out to the Laboratory Boys. I'm talking about Corey Dene, Mano Fresh, J Poppy. Oh, produced by the Grammy Award winning PC Beach, y'all. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is. That's on all your streaming services. Go peep that, need that. Go peep that, need that. That's a fact. Oh, and today,
We're gonna talk change with the changemakers. That's a fact, okay? And we're gonna get flavor from the tastemakers. Woo! And today's guest, you see him. Don't act like you don't see him. What? Man, listen. I'm gonna tell you, wordsmith to wordsmith. That's a fact. He got the bars, okay? He been a poet, spoken word artist. He teaching the kids with the spoken word. He putting the words together for the youths to learn how to say it the right way, showing them how to perform it, all the things, and then this brother, and you see the beard connect. He got the nerve to have the beard connect, and then have a situation called Love Suite. He out there with performing on stages, putting the events together called Love Suite with the connecting beard. Okay. He goes by
Wow.
the name of D Spence. He goes by the name of D Spence. Y'all, how you feeling, good brother?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing today?
Another day in paradise.
Yes, sir.
Listen,
Yes, sir.
yeah, man, with fist fighting technology, I won.
There you go.
But
There you go. My man. My man.
it was a close match. It could have went either way, but I pulled it out.
There you go.
Now, listen, we're gonna talk about all the things about your journey in poetry and kind of your impact and some of the stuff that you were able to kind of do and that got you here, right? I think it's
Yeah.
important for people to know about that because people don't even realize kind of how many things you done touched, as well as I'm gonna give a hat tip to some people doing some dope things, a little blip blip. We'll talk about it. Also, typically I tell people to give me a word and I give you a poem, but because you're a poet, you have the option of giving me a word or you have the option of giving me a poem. Either way, then I kind of come back with the improv situation as
No
well,
doubt.
and we'll talk about that. But first, now, mind you, and by the way, in case y'all don't know, this is brought to you by my Valentine's Day show, Thoughts from the Heart. Go and check that out. I'll tell you more about it. Me and Maya Bellardo at the Christina Carshall Arts Center. There's going to be food, chef rail, wine. It's a whole situation. Poetic, artistic connection. We doing some things out there, so check that out. Now, but first, okay. What I do is I like to update people's calendars. Okay, I got a list of events that I'm going to update the calendars in a poetic fashion, based on the events I have now. Sir, if you got any event that you want to talk about, want to promote, want to mention, let me know now. I add it to the list.
Okay.
Anything
Okay.
up and coming?
We got two. I got two up and coming events right now. So we got first off, I'm going to shout out Opera Delaware. Okay. Opera Delaware and Wilmington. We got a Divine Night in Delaware coming up March 20th. That's a Thursday. And definitely one of some of the most dope artistry that you're going to see. We're going to have poets, we're going to have ballet dancers, we're going to have opera singers, we're going to have hip hop, we're going to have neo soul, all on one stage, live instrumentation. Definitely looking forward to that. And to all of my Greeks out there, they will be honoring the Greeks. It is a Divine Night in Delaware, and they definitely show a lot of love to the Divine Nine up in there. And secondly, we got an event, The Love Suite in Dover, Delaware, will be happening March 28th. Doors open at 6 from 7 to 9. It'll be on Jeffrey Boulevard in Dover, Delaware, the capital of the state. Just trying to make some things happen down here in Dover, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to dive a little bit into that. That's March 28th. So March 28th is the Love Suite, and March 30th is the Divine Nine, right? Divine Night.
March
March
20th.
20th is the Divine Night. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, 20th and the 28th. Wow. Okay. All right. All right. Now let's talk about it. Okay. Now I do need help. I don't know how your rhythm is set up, but here's how it's going to go, right? I'm going to say, can I update your calendar? And you going to say, yes, you can. A Tribe Called Quest style.
Okay. Okay.
You got me?
I feel you. I feel you.
Okay. Can I update your calendar?
Yes, you can.
Can I update your calendar?
Yes, you can.
Can I update your calendar?
Yes, you
Can I
can.
update your calendar?
Yes, you can.
Well, I'm thinking. So here's what you want to do tomorrow. It's the art loop, poetic artistic connections. That's me and my man Grelo too. We do spoken word while you can move through galleries. And here's a few things that you might see. If you go to MKT, then it's the Queen of Hearts just to get your starts. Or at the Grand, it's Brian Mills once again. Or even at the Soul Firm, they'll make your soul yearn. They even got some youths showing you what they gonna do. I promise you, even at Reading, it's so upsetting that if you might miss this, oh, I feel bad for you once again. Okay, listen, Saturday is gonna come. There's a few things I'm gonna tell you about. Some Second Saturday Poets got some words you can quote it. Matter of fact, you gonna be mesmerized by who wrote it. Not only that, it's the Rebirth Mixer. You know what Shay and Eli do? They gonna get you. And that's an MKT too. I promise this is for you. Randy O at the Nomad, when he come through, Harvey Road, Extra Ultra, a whole bunch of bands mixed. This is what it's gonna do. I promise you, this is it. Okay. Let me slow down just a bit. Top Home, Afro Paleo, Divine Styles got it on Sunday. This is what you'll see. Guaranteed he'll have it virtually on IG. That's where you can get down, join the poetry. Monday, well, it's the Rebirth Live on the podcast. That's what you want to do. I want you to get down fast. Maybe you're going to want that Lou the Poet on the tag. That, of course, if you want to spit that back, you can rewind that just for that second on Tuesday. Well, I reckon you can go to the end zone. My man Radio Shack owns. This is where you going to do. Get your move and dance on. Of course, I don't want to miss this moment. When Wednesday come through, Icons is on it. It's the Icons Jam Session guaranteed. This is just a little confession to give you what you need so you can bring all your instruments, please. And then, okay, we're not done after Wednesday because Thursday you're back around to me. That's hats off with your boy, G-Jones. Okay, I know you thought I said what I had to say. I didn't mention Opera Delaware. Oh, we're not done. Once again, then it's the Divine Night, March 20th. That's when you're going to see poetry, ballet, some soul getting in your system. Quick, you're going to have to move a little bit. Perfect for this. And that's when you'll see D. Spence leading that. Hold on. I know how it gets for you and me. You taste that there? It's the Love Suite. Yes, please believe that's what you're going to see down Dover DE on the 2-8. I promise y'all, don't be late because what you're going to do is hear some words that's going to make you have to recontemplate. But before I decide to let this slide, then thoughts from the heart, that's me and Maya Bellardo on Valentine's Day. What you want me to say? Just come and see us and enjoy your whole week. Okay? There it is.
Hey, yes, sir.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, and if you watching and you got an event, watching live or the replay, feel free to put your event in the chat or in the comment section. Again, if you got an event happening, put your event in the comment section and go ahead, let the world know what's happening, whatever you're excited about.
Absolutely.
But that was the update your calendar. All right. Now, I had to get it cooking. Now had to get it cooking. Now again, if you don't know, you are watching Hats Off with your boy G Dash Jones. Every Thursday at 8:30, we interview people who are moving the needle and making the change, doing the things. All right. This week I got the phenomenal poet, lyrical mastermind, right? Boom, that's what they call him in them streets. You see what I'm saying? Uh, Versatile with the pen, as well as workshops, teaching others how to do it, putting together his own events. Shouts out to the Love Suite. Between writing, just doing all the things with spoken word, and I didn't even mention Leadership Delaware. That's a whole nother line for him. Shouts out my man D Spence, sir. Welcome to Hats Off. With that said, tell the people a little bit about yourself, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So, D Spence, Dennis Spence. I've been writing poetry for years, bro. This is crazy. It's been for about 2 decades I've been writing, and bro, it's mind blowing. Been writing for about 2 decades. Been doing spoken word poetry for almost 20 years now, and just been down here trying to make things happen. Like I said, down here in I'm in Magnolia, but we do most of my stuff in Dover. So that's the thing is, of course, we know we love Wilmington. A lot of stuff's popping. That's where the culture is. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to bring some of that love down here to Dover because right now there is not much happening down this way, not much culture down this way. And bruh, it's like, you gotta become the change that you want. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for everybody to just get up and go, but if we want things to happen here, we got to make things happen here. So that's just what we're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Woo.
Got my family down here, got my wife and my daughter, and bruh, we just trying to build, you know what I'm saying?
Are you from there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Born and raised.
Wow. See, you don't see that often. So that listen, okay. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're from Dover, and then now and you're trying to kind of cultivate something because there, believe it or not, people don't know how many, I guess, black folks are down there, right? They don't know how much of us it is, and it's expanded. They think of Dell State and that's it, but it can be some things going on. And I think that sometimes people don't realize that they can create in their own area in ways that they've never seen before, right? Which is what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Now, but before we get to that, let's bring it all the way back. How did you get tell us about your journey in poetry? How did that happen?
So, so of course, I started writing in high school, and bruh, I started writing for any reason any little boy was trying to write. You know what I mean? I was trying to get the attention of girls, man. I ain't have looking back on it, like my game was trash, dude. But I thought I was doing something. I thought I was doing something. Just started writing back then, and I got to college. I graduated from the University of Delaware, and I got up with some dope poets up there. We had a poetry group called Spoken Stimulating Prose Ideas and Theory, the acronym SPIT. And man, that is where I found my family. I found my tribe, and developed my skills. Like, I got up with some big bros up there, mastered the art of spoken word because I was up there. I was that guy up there on the mic with paper. When you're up there and your hands shaking.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, that was me, and a couple guys mentored me up there. They taught me about how to like really hone in on your craft, master it, and learn your stuff. And you thing is, don't just go up there and just read a poem. You have to go up there and you got to compose that thing. You have to like get people to really feel you. So this way, you're not just talking to them. You're actually taking them somewhere. You're taking them through a journey. You know what I'm saying? And that is really where I developed some of my skills. After I graduated from college, I got up with another group in Wilmington, and once again, Wilmington took me in. Wilmington took me in. I was the young, arrogant poet. Thought I was the man. Once again, bruh. I look back on some of my poems then, like so trash. But once again, got up with some older poets to show me some things, show me some stuff, and once again, man, honed in on the craft. And this time, when I was in Wilmington, I learned to not just write. It's one thing to be really spitting some like serious vernacular, but it's another thing to actually have a nice, hard, concrete message behind what you're saying. You
Mhm.
know, it does not matter at all how, how nice you're saying anything if you ain't saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? And what most deaf say, speaking loudly, saying nothing. You know what I mean? So that's where I really honed in on like actually getting a message and creating myself. And that's where we went to, man. And really started doing a lot of open mics, started traveling, going to DC, got up with the Crescent Moon Knights. Shout out to Crescent Moon Knights down in Washington, D.C. At Sankofa Bookstore, man. Some of the dopest revolutionaries and poets down there, bus boys. Went to Philly, going to the Harvest, going to Dowlin's Palace. Shout out to my guy Shice, the poet up there in North Philly, and the whole Philly youth poetry movement up there, man. That's when they were killing it on HBO. So man,
Mhm.
got up with a whole lot of poets up there and really like mastered it and try to bring that energy down to Delaware because once again we're out here trying to make a name for ourselves too. We're surrounded by Philly and Baltimore and DC and like nobody knows there's some hot poets up here in Delaware, man. And just out here working, got up with some friends that really love poetry, started getting with this 21st century program in Capital School District, and that's when we started getting on them workshops. And yeah, man, we was just rolling, getting up with I mean, some real dope young people, and that's when I really was convinced that, but we got some really talented young people, and the youth is that's when my direction, like almost ever since, is really to like mentor, help young people get to wherever it is they're trying to get to, because like, dude, like that's where it is. Like, I know we're all out here trying to make make these adults better, but now it's like we really need to focus on our young people, help them get themselves established and point them in the right direction so that they can be the future leaders of this world and clean up all the mess and foolishness that we ourselves are creating. You know what I'm saying?
Woo, that boy's spitting already. So, okay, I mean, that's just fact. Now, but I have a couple things you said, right? And we're going to kind of dive into a couple spaces. One of the
Yes,
things
sir.
that you talked about was your pen was the maturity of your pen. You ain't say it that way, but that's just how it came to my spirit.
Indeed.
How do you judge your own art?
So I I will say I am like most of us, you're your own worst critic. You know what I'm saying? Um, one thing I write differently, okay? There's different ways I write. Okay, first off, how it comes to me is one thing, and two is what it says, what it speaks to me as I'm writing it. Like as I'm writing it, is it speaking to me? Because it's one thing, how when you like, a line or two comes to you and it's like, oh, that's nice. I'm gonna write that down, you know? But it's one another thing if like it comes to you and stays with you, and then all of a sudden more stuff comes with it. More stuff comes with it to the point where you're going somewhere with it. Like, okay, we're going down a rabbit hole somewhere. This is actually accumulating into something. We are morphing this thing into a message. And then it's like, okay, something needs to be said. Something needs to be said. When I can take a story, okay, and translate it into something comparatively to um, something else indirectly. So let's say um, I'm trying to think of like of an analogy where you are directly saying one thing, but indirectly saying another thing. Like how, let's for instance let's say we're writing a poem, right, about um the what is it, the gingham dog and the calico cat. All right. How, they stood in the house and they literally ripped each other apart. They killed each other over their differences. They ate each other alive in this house, the gingham dog and the calico cat. What's happening right now that makes you think about that? You know? Like this
Right.
whole country right now is full of gingham dogs and calico cats, and that's all we're doing is eating each other alive, and there's no unity in it at all. So you could take that right there, and you could create a whole story upon that, where you're talking merely about what is a fairy tale, a story, a fictional story, and then you can correlate that thing with what's going on today in society. And when that hits me, that's when I know, okay, something is brewing here. So let's keep writing.
So so that's how you so based on how the metaphors kind of hit your system, the similes hit your system, kind of those all the wordplay, right? The things that make a lyricist in bigger picture.
Yes, sir.
Those things, when you start to feel it, that's when you like, oh, I'm in a space, and you kind of write through it. It's essentially
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay. So how do you know when you've written something that you what makes you not like something that you've created?
Uh, if it sounds too forced, okay? Like it's one thing when if I'm like seriously writing, okay, and let's say you are like taking like some serious rhyme schemes, okay? If it kind of sounds like something that's just like at the point where it's just like, okay, I think this is gonna sound a little silly, where you are taking away from what you're trying to say merely for the sake of just trying to find something that rhymes. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have to really struggle to find a word that just kind of fits in there, then nah. What we're doing is we're working on a puzzle here. We're working on a puzzle. So you put the pieces in here that fit. Don't try to force a piece in there. It's like, man, I really want this piece to go in there because it rhymes. Or it talks about this. I really need this piece to go in there. Like, nah, that's not part of the puzzle. That puzzle piece doesn't go there. So you're taking away from your message. And that to me, that's killing the progress.
Mm. Woo! So see, as a poet myself, so I hear it. I hear it. So like here, so by the way, any creative, right?
Mhm.
Don't allow the ego or the style to take away from the message, right?
Yes.
You want the art to be palatable, but you don't want it to be palatable at the expense of the art. Ooh.
Indeed, you want it to be authentic. You want it to be your authentic self, Like you don't want to if you're going in there and let's say if you know that you're writing something for a particular audience, right? However, what that audience wants from you is against what you do. If you go up in there and you walk on that stage and you do that piece and then you walk off that stage and you don't feel like G Dash Jones, you probably shouldn't have did what you did. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm,
saying? That
mm-hmm,
piece wasn't meant for that. So
mm-hmm.
that's the thing. So when I feel like I'm trying to like really force something in for the sake of whoever my audience is, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh. Okay, now let me ask you this. In the so as a poet,
Hmm.
do you feel like you are also a part of the entertainment industry?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Give me the
I will
correlation.
say that, yes.
Give
Yes.
me,
So
give me the connection for you.
indeed. So a friend of mine, him and I, we talk about this all the time. There's two types of audiences. You have the entertain me crowd, and then you have those that are actually in there for the art. Okay. Um, there is there are times when you may go to like an open mic night, right? And it may be at a bar or something. People just coming, people are chilling, people are winding down, people are relaxing, people come to hear something good, okay? And you go up there and you spit some fire, all right? You will have people in there that are like, okay, okay, people that are feeling you, right? But then you have some of those other people that you notice their responses are a little too extra. They snapping a little too loud. They're making a little too much noise because they're overly enjoying what you're doing because you are entertaining them. Okay, whether it's a sensual piece, like yeah, I got a few sensual pieces. You know what I'm saying? And to me, like that's for the entertainment. That's for the entertainment. However, there's nothing like when you can go to a salon or a street corner, right? And you're surrounded by like 12 other creatives. And what y'all are doing is like making alchemy up in there. With the fact that y'all are just vibing off each other and just throwing words back and forth, and it's inspiring. It's like that right there. That's a whole different type of audience right there. So, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to negate the fact that yes, we are entertainers. However, there's a difference. One of my most proudest moments was I did a poem in, I believe it was Baltimore. It was at this small coffee shop, and this was an entertain me type crowd. And I did a piece. Oh, it was like way, way back. I did this piece called ATM, Adore Thy Master. It's about money and how we're slaves to money. And I was up in there talking. I was like talking about people like, yo, you're a slave to those dollar bills out there because look on your dollar bills and look at your slave masters that still own you because you do all this stuff for them because you need them. You need this money. And there was a black couple that walked out on me. Like I saw them get up and they walked out. They were so offended by what I said. And I was like, got you, got you.
Really?
You did not need to be here. So
Mm.
yeah, that was probably one of my most proudest moments as a poet. To have somebody walk out on me.
Right.
Yeah, man.
When they walked
Oh,
out, you knew you had it. That's what I was like. Oh, I'm good. I made them leave. Okay.
bruh, bruh.
Now, without saying too much myself, but I will say I think the beauty of that people don't get in all forms of art, but we're poets.
Indeed.
Is there's a level like the purpose of art is to make people feel. People want it to be feel good.
Hmm.
People want it to be feel this, feel that, feel this, feel that. Without going into any conversation, because I'm not doing this. The reason why people believe Kanye is a genius is because he knows how to avidly make you feel. You may hate, you may love, whatever, but you have a
Hmm.
feeling because of the art that how he plays with things, right? Good, bad, ugly. I'm not here to judge that or have that conversation, but there's a feeling there, right? When you can make people feel, when you can make people look deeper into themselves and challenge some things, that's when it's working. Even with that said, when did you start to know that with your pen? Like, when did you start to write differently for depth? And I know I was going to ask this, but we here now.
Nah. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I probably say, all right, so bro, I've had like a couple stages, right? So of course, from college to that stage when I was in Wilmington, that there was growth there. There was some serious growth there. And then I'll say from my 20s to my mid
Mm,
30s, growth happened. And I think around pretty much around my 30s, I'm 40 now. I'm 40 now. And I think that's probably when that growth hit, and that's when it's like, all right, we're writing differently. We're really writing differently now. We're writing about actual things. Like, it really hit me when because of course praise God, I love God, love Jesus, and people would always say when like I would get with some like some Christian poets, and they would always tell me, they would say, hey man, you gotta write for God only, like you can't be writing about that secular stuff. And I'm like,
mhm,
word.
mhm,
And my thing was, it's like, God made everything.
mhm,
Okay, God is in everything.
mhm.
So how is it I cannot incorporate anything with God in it? Like how is that? I can take anything and incorporate God into it, So like don't box me, don't put me in your Christian only box. Like nah, bruh. Like God made everything. So best
Mhm.
believe I can take everything and incorporate him into that poem. Please believe.
They didn't like that.
Yeah. I've performed at a couple churches, and I've got a couple, side glances. Make some people
Oh,
shift in their seats.
you pressed the envelope in the church? Oh, you something else, boy. Okay.
Bruh. Yeah. Yeah, man. Some things need to be said. Some things need to be said.
Some things need to be said. Okay. So now, with that said, having that understanding, right, and then
Hmm.
translating it to the stage. Now, as you started mentioning with you performing and you traveling and performing and you doing it, how did you learn to translate the emotion to spoken word, right? Because there's a thing, right? Um, for written works versus like some poems are meant to be read,
Yeah.
right? I'm a firm believer that some poems are meant to be read because you might need to read that thing 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
It just hits in certain ways. How did
Absolutely.
you start to decipher what do I need, what needs to be read versus I need to translate this emotion to a
Got
stage?
you. It goes back to kind of like what you said, when you can draw the feelings out of people, or when you can draw a desire to be provoked to action, to make them want to do something. You know what I'm saying? From the standpoint of emotion, right? A lot of things where when I'm writing it, I kind of picture myself. Sometimes you know how you may write something and you kind of write it as if you're hearing yourself saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, sometimes if I for most stuff that I'm writing, I'm trying to write it for the stage regardless. You know what I'm saying? So whether it makes it there or not, that's neither here nor there. But I try to write everything for the stage. But there's a few things that I just do for me that, like you said, is just meant to be read. But there are some things where you can have something in its raw form when you are um, when you know that, okay, my voice was going to need to be loud for this. If somebody is going to read this, I need them to be reading it loud. Okay, if somebody is reading this part of the poem, they would have to read it low.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this would be a point where I'm whispering. This would be a point where I'm screaming, okay? This would be a point where I am talking across the room, whereas this would be a point where I'm talking to you. That's where you know this is meant for the stage because it is conversational. It is drawing. It will draw the person in on a whole different level. That is emotional, and it can bring it out both ways. Like you can tell, you can tell how like hard a poem is when you see a poet. Have you ever seen like a poet start crying while they're performing? And the thing is, they keep going. So I'm working with I was working with this young lady who was talking to me about how she's a great writer. She's a great writer. However, she doesn't do too much spoken word poetry, and she said she wants to do more of that. And I was talking to her about that. When come across a poet who becomes so engulfed in their poem that they start crying, and I said that right there. That's where you see a poet in their most vulnerable aspect, and that is where the poem itself is at its rawest. So the thing is, it would do the poem itself a disservice if the poet stopped because they're crying. No, you will notice every poet you see, if they cry, they keep going. They spit through their tears, and it magnifies the poem that much more, where you're like, dang, like I'm crying now. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you know something is for the stage. That's how you know you are composing that thing.
Mm-hmm. Making people feel it. For those of y'all in the back who may not know this, right? There was a gentleman by the name of Earl Simmons.
Mhm.
Okay, he used to do he used to do a prayer on stage. That was a poem, like it rhymed, like it was a poem,
Yep,
a cappella. That I don't know how many times he did it, but I know he cried when he did it. I also know
absolutely.
you would have grown behind men watching Dogman X in
Yes,
tears in that audience from Give Me
yes,
Pain Till I Die. Like it was like the way the feeling would be from the art that was being portrayed does that. And that's what I like to that's one of those things that's a mixture between a talent and a skill, right? It's both put
absolutely.
together to create that. Now for you, do you remember your first time like performing?
My first time performing, yes.
Oh, okay. What was it like?
So the first time I performed, it was at UD, okay? It was at University of Delaware. It was at a spit event. So stimulating prose ideas and theory. I wasn't a member of the group yet. I was still a freshman And I came up there. So I say there's two moments that were kind of like my first time, right? That first time when I went on a University of Delaware stage. I had a piece of paper in my hand. I read it. I was nervous and everything. And one of one of the guys, his name was Rob. He was in the group. He pulled me aside. He was like, "Yo, man, that was dope. That was a dope poem." He said, "But you could have did that a lot better if you would have memorized it."
Mm,
So
mm,
that summer, I wrote this other piece, Long Joint, and I memorized it. I worked on it all summer to try to memorize it all summer. I'm like, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be ready. So that next year, as a sophomore, I came back with the piece memorized and killed it, killed it. And that's when I really kind of discovered myself on the stage right there. That was the moment I discovered myself on the stage.
so that was the moment when you knew you were nice. Um, Now, so looking back at that, because that was probably, a nice amount of years ago, a good handful, you know what I'm saying, a
Yeah,
good dice
yeah.
roll of years ago.
Oh yeah.
Um, how has the evolution been for you in spoken word?
I would say for one, there's much more confidence in my tone. I've been able to actually work with people that like kind of specialize in voice training, you know what I mean? So I actually know how to use my voice more. Like I said, like, bro, it's amazing if you actually get up with some like dope singers and actually listen to how they can like do stuff with their voices, how they can take them like really high, take them really low, and carry it, make your voice sound like it's over there. You know what I'm saying? And how you can make things more intimate merely. And that was something that I really had to practice too, making the poems intimate. And I think that I learned that probably like performing at a lot of like churches, you know what I'm saying? Bringing intimacy into your poems. And I'm not saying like intimacy from a standpoint of sex, but intimacy from a standpoint of love and feeling, making people feel what you're saying. And another thing too was just realizing, and I probably learned this from a lot of my people up in Philly, a lot of my Philly poets. They taught me what to do with your hands, because bruh, you will see some poets up there and they're talking and they're going, and it's like, bro, what are you doing with your hands? Like you look like you don't know what you're doing, you know? And that's when I really was able to pay attention with what I'm doing with my body language, because that's something we don't fully recognize. Like while you are doing your poem, your body is also speaking as well. So people can see that. So people are listening to your body language. They are listening to the tone and the pitch of your voice. And on top of that, they're listening to your message. So this way, not only are they hearing what you're saying, but then they're feeling what you're saying. And it's actually tugging at the heartstrings. You know what I'm saying?
Woo! Listen, if you watching this, I hope you ate before you got here because that boy cooking. Listen, okay. You are watching Hats Off with your boy G Dash Jones every Thursday at 8:30. We talk flavor with the tastemakers, and I have the one and only, the phenomenal D Spence here with me. Now, okay, right. So now we done kind of led through the honing of your writing and honing of your stage show, but then there was something inside you that says, I want to impart this wisdom upon others. What made you want to teach other people how to write and perform?
So I got up with a good friend of mine, like good friend of mine, my brother P, from him and I, we grew up together. We went to school together. And that's been like my brother, one of my best friends since, dude, like high school days, you feel me? And he writes as well. Well, he used to write. He used to write as well. But we wanted to just do something back home. It's like, hey, we want to share this gift that we're doing. We want to see if there's other people out there. Once again, nothing is going on in Dover. So we were able to get a grant through the 21st Century Program and we were able to work with the young kids at Central Middle School, Dover High School, and we were able to get in a few sessions at Delaware State University, which was awesome, by the way. And Delaware State University, but they have a wonderful poetry group called Spoken Word Artists United at Dell State, and they are still active. They are still actively doing their thing at Dell State now. But bruh, like that's when I really discovered how awesome like our young people are. We would go in there, we would talk not just about like, of course everybody has something to say, but we would talk about it. We talk about the history of spoken word, how this started with the ancestors. This is how storytelling was. This is how family history was sent down. You know what I'm saying? How the elders would talk to the youth, and they would tell them stories about where they come from, who they are as people. You know what I'm saying? And then we would go into the history. We'd talk about our favorite writers, our favorite poets. Those that passed away, those that are still doing things today, even. You know what I'm saying? And then we would actually break it down into writing formalities. Let's talk about rhyme scheme. Let's talk about, A, B, C, B. Let's talk about A, B, C, D. Let's talk about A, B, B, A, B, B, A. You know what I'm saying? Different rhyme schemes that a lot of people consider and utilize. We talked about.
Hold on. I'm gonna time out. Just okay. So if you're watching, all right. So if you're watching, quick, very quick, a way to explain what he's talking about is the way that people play with words and how you can double up or how you can be linear or non-linear with how you play with the words. Essentially, are different rhyme schemes, right?
Yes.
People hear them always in music, right? So just in case you're watching, you're like, wait, what are we talking about? The reason why, whether you like them or not, the reason why Lil Wayne and Eminem are Lil Wayne and Eminem is because they do those things. Regardless of, again, whether you like them or not, they do those things. It's something about how you can play with words, move the rhyme scheme around to now I'm throwing the rhyme to the back of the word, or I'm chopping it up by syllables,
Yes.
right? Depending on how you move words around in the scheme, it becomes a different game, right? That's the puzzle. So that's what he's talking about. In case y'all didn't know. So
Indeed.
now, yeah,
And
yeah.
and
All right. So
like
now you get into this thing of you start doing these workshops, right? And as you're growing, uh, how did you kind of pick where to go, or was it just kind of based on the availability in the area? How were you able to link with some of the schools, and like what was that process like?
So actually, that was what we did. We linked it off of what was available. We was just kind of, looking around. My mother-in-law actually was working at a capital school district, and another good friend of mine, he was actually working the 21st century program. And he was like, "Yo, man, y'all mind, sharing some poetry with some of our students?" And I'm like, absolutely, absolutely. And it was bittersweet because this is the thing, like it was wonderful and it was heartbreaking all at the same time. So we would get up with our students at Central Middle. Central Middle was, bruh, it was that was special to me. Central Middle was special to me. Um, they gave us the behavioral students.
Mhm,
You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
and come to find out they were some of the best students ever. Um, we had some students opening up, sharing some like serious stuff, talking about like, drugs, dealing with rape in the household, and just a lot of things that eighth graders should not be dealing with. They were sharing this stuff, and they were sharing it openly. One of our most participating students got taken out of the program, and I was pissed. He got taken out of the program because he was failing his classes during the day. But I'm like, this is he's participating. He needs this then,
Right.
like he needs something. But like that was the thing that really made it special, and we had one of our I always talk about this with one of my poems that I open up for. I say there was this one lady that a young lady that I met. We were talking about personification. So personification, that's when you can take a non-living thing and giving it human characteristics. So this is an eighth grader, mind you. She wrote a poem about root beer, and she compared it to a tall, dark-skinned black man who was sweet. He was sweet to the taste. She loved the way he kissed her lips, and he always left her satisfied and refreshed. However, the moment he took her to the peak of her satisfaction, he left her,
Mm.
just like finishing off a bottle of root beer. And I was like, are you kidding me? What? Okay, y'all got skills up in here. And that's when I knew that the young people were special. And that's why we really got to keep feeding them, pouring the gasoline on their fires so that they can just blaze the trail.
That's a fact. Couple things. Again, just if you're in the back, want to click this out. Leverage your network. Leverage your network. If you got a thing, you're like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Start asking the people that you know. He said it was his mother-in-law. It was the people's. All right, let me call this brother. Hey, I got this thing. I know how to do it. I want to do a thing. What can we
Yeah.
do? Hey, come do this thing here. That's how it works, right? Sometimes as creatives, specifically as creatives, we get into our own head with we're not ready. We're not good enough. This isn't it. I don't know how. But if you're really looking to bless the world, then you know the art is bigger than you, and it will do what it's supposed to do. But you got to put it out there, in order for that to come and for that to work, right?
Mhm.
And now, for you, as you were able to kind of live into those workshops, and then you started to gather up and do your own events as well, right? Which is interesting because at that point you stopped gracing your own stage, but you started providing stages for others to be on. How did that come about?
So, of course, us as poets, we love the microphone. That thing is addicting. I'll be honest, and I know you feel me. Yeah, I know you feel me. It's like whenever you go somewhere, it's like, bro, let me get on. Let me get on real quick. Let me get on. It's like I know I should only do two poems, but I got like five that need to be said. You know. However, um, I really love seeing, and this kind of started at the workshop. So I really love seeing other people shine. I've gone to a couple events where, like I said, I'm 40. All right, so I'm no longer little bro. Like lately, I've been being big bro now. They calling me Unc now. You know what I'm
Yo, that
saying?
hurt. That's like okay, wait. I guess okay. I appreciate the respect, but sheesh. That's
Bruh, yeah. Like, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. But I started noticing like some other poets. It was like, hey man, I was really feeling that. You think you could show me how you do it that way, or you think you could help me with this right here? And I'm like, yeah. Matter of fact, let's get you on a microphone. Let's get you on a stage. So, I really wanted to. I had the knowledge. Like I've done enough, and this is one thing. Like I said, shout out to Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington, Delaware taught me so much, especially regarding how to operate and run an event. Okay, so I
mm,
just took everything I learned in Wilmington and I brought it down to Dover. Um, like you said, like I networked my butt off and I got up with some real good people down in Dover that had a brand new venue right on 13, in Dover. It's like in the center of Dover. And I asked them like, hey, would you ever think about doing a poetry night here, a spoken word, open mic here? And they said, absolutely, So we've been doing that. We've been bringing other artists on, and the thing is, like, people are coming out of the woodwork in Dover, and that's what's like crazy to me. And they're not all just coming from Dell State. You're realizing there's a lot of artists in Dover that are doing some stuff. So we got the Love Suite happening. My girl Denisha, she's doing Turn Down Tuesdays on Lockerman. That's every first Tuesday. It's also an open mic in Dover that's been popping, and they've been getting it. And I've been bumping into some real dope artists and storytellers, not just poets, but storytellers, dude. That's another thing I'm meeting a lot of like people that write short stories and that like they're really good. So realizing people have a voice out here, and the thing is, a lot of them either don't have the resources, don't have the networks, or they may not yet have the confidence to just go out there and just shake a million hands. So
mm.
if anything, I'm gonna bring you to my show. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to bring those hands that I know you need to be shaking to my show too. And we're going to have a whole bunch of business owners. We're going to have a whole bunch of entrepreneurs. We're going to have a whole bunch of creatives in one space. And we're going to not just vibe out to some poetry, but we're going to share some information. Hey, I know you're doing this. I may need you for such and such and so and so. Hey, I see you're doing this. Hey, could you help me with this over here? I'm really trying to gather myself in this field. So this way,
Mhm.
like we are hitting two to three birds with one stone.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just curious, so I want to ask this: when you think of kind of what you've done with the events, the workshops, all the things, and with poetry and the business of poetry, what are some things that you've learned along the journey about the business of poetry?
Ah, oh,
Ah,
so I've
oh,
learned,
really quick, I want the audience to know if you're watching this, the reason why he did that is because art for commerce is a mother. Go ahead.
yeah, 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 man. So I've learned that for one, you have to stay, you have to keep it business. So this is the thing is in poetry, we all know each other. And Delaware is small, so we all know each other. However, you have to keep it business. And that's the thing is, making sure that, okay, you know what, I respect, I've done a couple venues, I've done some shows in Wilmington too, I've done a couple venues, and the thing is like you can't always anticipate that you're going to sell out every show. You know, you may think you're nice, and yeah, sometimes I'm like, yo, bro, I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna sell out. I'm gonna sell this thing out, and I don't. And that's humbling. So that's thing realizing from the business aspect, you are going to get humbled for one, because there's going to be some days where you're gonna have to pay off you have to pay everybody first. You got to pay your venue, you got to pay your DJ, you got to pay your vendors, or your security if you got them. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay your people, your photographers. Okay, you have to pay them before you pay yourself. If you may make, oh man, I made a couple thousand on this night. Yeah, you did, but guess what?
No,
If you
you
didn't,
didn't.
if you sell out, if you did not sell out, you didn't make that much. And I've had a couple shows where I ended up in the red. You know, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna take those lumps, but I learned something from it, and I learned, who's in my corner. That's another thing. You're gonna learn who's in your corner and who really supports you. Um, and you got to really stay up on your books too. That's another thing too. Like really learning the aspect of the business of it with your books, staying on top of your finances and who you owe and paying off your debts.
Mm, absolutely. By the way, again, in the back, get a pen, rewind, and bullet point, bullet point, bullet point what he just said. Okay, between your people, between the finance, because it's the business, right? You're learning how to run business while you are an artist, and this is a very hard to accept, but you have to.
Yeah.
It's not even optional, depending on the angle that you want to come at it with. So that's huge. Now, tell us about the Love Suite, right? Because like you mentioned how these events have evolved. What made you kind of come up with that title, and what made you like? What was the environment that you wanted to create with the Love Suite?
So, for the longest, dude, I couldn't think of what to name this. Like I couldn't think of anything to name it, and it made me think of what was that album by Maxwell? What was like the Urban
Urban
Hang
Hangout Suite.
Suite?
Yes.
Yes, I kid you not, I thought of that album, and I was like, you know what? I want to make something like that. The Urban Hang Suite, and my biggest thing, the word that kept coming to me was love. It's like I want this to be, an expression of love. Okay, for one, the love of the craft. Okay, the love of the people. Okay, love in general. Because I do this every time, and everybody that's ever been to the Love Suite will tell you when I start the show, I let them know the ground rules is it's all love here. There's no hate. We will not talk about anything that expresses hate towards anyone or any group of people up in here. Everything is love. Everything is the love for the art form. So we are all about expression. Do I believe in censoring poets? No. I do not believe in censorship of poets. However, what we're not going to do is start hating on anybody up in here. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I want everybody to understand. We're not just talking about love poems. Nah, this is for love of the craft, love for the art form.
Have you ever had to regulate that where, like, because sometimes people have passionate pieces just based upon their experiences, but those experiences can go to a negative space for others,
Mhm.
right? So have you ever had to do that at all, like regulate those moments?
I haven't. I have not. Thankfully, I've had like one or two people come up to me and they're like, hey, I got this poem and it's a little political. Would this be out of pocket if I did it? And I'm like, you know what? Nah. Like, cause one person that I know, she did a poem about, it was post-election,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
she went in,
Hmm.
and the thing is, in my head, I'm thinking, you know, what no, what was going through her head, her concern was, I'm going to offend whoever in here is
Right.
Republican,
Right.
and I
Right.
told her, I said, you'd be surprised. The thing is, oftentimes, what I love about poets and comedians is we're pretty much the modern day philosophers of the world. We say what most people are thinking anyway. We're just bold enough to say it. And I said, I bet you whatever you're going to say, I bet you a lot of people will probably agree with what you're saying. Okay. The thing is, it's not necessarily, she didn't go up in there and like bash the president. She went up there and she talked about certain issues. And I'm like, nobody can disagree with you on that note. Anybody with common sense would know that. However, we have some people that go up there and they may kind of bring up race a little bit. And I'm okay with that. However, as long as you are not like really going in on it, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
to the point where, okay, that you're getting a little negative here. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to fully express yourself, but if you get to the point where you're just downright getting negative, then I think we're gonna start to regulate that. But no, we haven't had any
Right.
issues.
It seems like what happens with the Love Suite is you're creating a safe space for artistic healing, right? And
Absolutely.
a safe space for artists. And sometimes there is some assertiveness, and sometimes there is some aggression, and sometimes there is some direct feelings towards certain things, but it's not coming from a place of revenge or animosity per se specifically, or just like it's coming from a place of the expression of healing, right? And I think
Indeed.
that's just a part of the game. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so okay, now this has been an amazing conversation. This is with yeah, I had to curtail it because we could have went, but I'm trying to be
Yeah.
good.
I
So
feel you.
like
I feel you.
there's a couple. So yeah. All right. And by the way, in case you don't know, again, you were watching Hats Off with your boy G Dash Jones. I actually, I'm on season 3. I've been blessed to you know, to do this every Thursday. Started last year. I started maybe about typically about once a month. I
Hmm.
bring in somebody who actually is a poet that has a platform, right? So and I do that purposefully. It actually started because of me getting into this virtual world and seeing how many virtual poets have virtual platforms and virtual open mics and this whole wild thing. I was like, oh wait, what? Like, and now that's where like I'll hop in one of those all in any given time, start shooting in the gym, working out, hearing some amazing pieces, being a part of some amazing pieces, and meeting some dope people. It's rare, that I get to do it with some locals, right? Shouts out to Tracy Curry. She's one. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yes, because not only is she a poet, she also has she has platforms,
Mhm.
where she's building poets, and with Poetry Out Loud that's coming up. Shouts out to her and everything with that. So to have you here is also an honor. I say that to say that also now I ask all my guests this. If you had to give advice to your younger self, but the the year is still 2025, right? So uh I'm gonna say, so young D, right? I ain't gonna say, I'm gonna say young D.
Mhm.
Young young D in the building, okay, out there, running around, figuring it out. What advice would you give to young D? But again, the year is still 2025 with all the 2025 things.
What advice would I give him? And this is related to poetry.
No, doesn't matter.
Just
Anything.
just life, just life.
Yes.
Um, I would say, uh, uh, I would say, listen to yourself more and go after what you want instead of going after what people want for you. There was a there was definitely a period that I do remember where I was people pleasing and appeasing, and whether it was at work, for the family, and even for the shows, the poetry shows, where I was writing stuff, I was doing stuff for everybody else's you know satisfaction, and it wasn't really where my heart was. It wasn't really where my love was. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. So you wound up finding yourself, having to find yourself within it, so that you could be happy within yourself.
Indeed, yes, sir.
Ooh, I told y'all don't come here on an empty to come on an empty stomach because that boy cooking. Okay, okay. That is wise words from a great man. Shouts out to D Spence. Now, as you know, uh, I tell people if you give me a word, I give you a poem. But while and now because you're a poet, I always give my poets the option of either giving me a word or giving me a poem. Whatever you feel, that's where we'll start at, and then I'll figure it out after that, and we're gonna go. But while you decide what you're gonna do or what's gonna come out, I like to do what I like to call a quick hat tip. Blip blip. That's a quick hat tip. Blip blip. A quick hat tip. First and foremost, I'm giving a quick hat tip to Harvey Road. They won the second annual Cabin Fever Showcase. Shouts out to them, presented by Dew Point. Yes, because if you don't know what D Harv and Harvey Road is, one of the baddest bands in the land. They out there cooking, and they shut down Cabin Fever. An amazing group of artists were performing, but Harvey Road took home the case. So shouts out to Harvey Road, Dew Point, Sound Portals, everybody involved in that. Also, a quick hat tip. Blip blip. So the quick hat tip. Blip blip to my homie Darnell Miller. All right, Darnell Miller. Listen, he had me on the Indie Planet show. I was there Monday, pulled up on WJVS. We had a great time chopping it up. He did a whole Grammy recap. It was a vibe. I was in the building. We was making it dope. So. And listen, they even got the replay on Saturday, so look out, Opry shared or something. But either way, shouts out to Darnell Miller, WJVS, that whole squad for having me up there as well. Quick hat tip, blip, blip, quick hat tip, blip, blip. My man, Chef Rail Deuce. If y'all don't know Chef Rail will be the chef at the Valentine's Day Thoughts from the Heart. You know what I mean? He will be chefing up some greatness with me and Maya Bellardo up there. But he also is now officially a part of the Wilmington Kitchen Collective, y'all. What? Yes, so now he's a part of the group. If y'all don't know about the Wilmington Kitchen Collective, look them up. You kind of can see how they can kind of join together to have so many dope different chefs and cooks to kind of build to build something phenomenal. So shouts out to Rail Dukes for that. Also, quick hat tip, blip blip, quick hat tip to Bonita Poetry and Tierra Nicole. They did a pop-up virtual, yes, and I happened to jump on it. Listen, they did that on Sunday. It was a cipher session. The depths of the things that it went into, it was 2 rounds. It was crazy. Listen, I couldn't even see the homeboy because IG was acting up that was ciphering with me. I couldn't even see him, and our poems just like went. So shouts out to everybody involved. If y'all don't know Pyro was up in there shooting at poetry clicks. I didn't see it happening. It was I might have to reshare it just because it was such a wild virtual. So shouts out to Benita Poetry and Tierra Nicole for making that happen. Also, it's Black History Month. Regardless of what they tried to say, then take back and put, TikTok. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? You remember that cancel TikTok game back, you know what I mean? So it's Black History Month. I'm going to give a quick hat tip to my man. I don't know him personally, but I feel like I do. Gil Scott Heron. Woo! Gil Scott, listen, that brother right there, here, the hat tip is because the revolution will not be televised. It means it actually will start with inside of yourself. That's what it means. People don't know that, but go and check it out. If you don't know Gil Scott, see, I thought about going Langston. Nah, I'm going Gil because
Absolutely.
it's kind of appropriate for today's time, for nowadays and times. So a hat tip to Gil Scott Heron. Also, quick hat tip, blip, blip, quick hat tip. Anybody who got their tickets for Thoughts from the Heart, that's Valentine's Day. Okay, you got your tickets now. Okay, like I'm tipping to you, right? We're gonna have the wine, the food, the me and Maya Ballardo doing the thing, right? Poetic Artistic Connections. Me and Grillo, Velvet Poindexter and Brian Mills put art up. We're gonna do spoken word to the art too. I'm cooking. Right,
Yes,
it's gonna be live in that room. So hopefully you got your tickets. Last but not least, quick hat tip. Blip blip to my man D Spence in the building. Listen, yes, sir. So listen, I appreciate you for being a phenomenal guest in here and sharing your story. Anybody you want to give a quick hat tip to?
Oh man, and I'm gonna give a hat tip to I'm gonna shout out my wife
Mhm.
for she got the house all quiet and everything, so this way I could actually zone in, you know what I mean? But I want to also give a hat tip to um Carrie Ann Otaño with
Yes.
yes, she's doing big things with Opera Delaware, and she is to come here. I think she came from New York,
Hmm.
came to Delaware, and she is really like exploding in the state with the arts, not just opera, but everything. The whole artists, all the artists, dance, spoken word, singing, music, instrumentation. But she's doing big things. It's one of the hardest working women I know. So she's doing big things here in Delaware, and just want to, give her a hat tip as well, man.
Absolutely. Also, one of the just such a positive human being. Like her energy is fire.
Oh yeah.
Was blessed to be able to have her on the show towards the top of last about a year ago almost, right? So, listen, I might have to reshare that, especially when y'all got the she talked about the Divine Night before it first happened. We went through all that. It was one of my favorite episodes. So yeah, absolutely. Hat tip to Carrie Ann, bloop, bloop, and hat tip to Mrs. Spence. Bloop, bloop, you know what I'm saying? Shout
Yes,
out,
sir.
shout out.
Yes, sir.
You dealt with him. You dealing with a poet. That boy got words. That's a life. All right. Oh, now with that said, sir, you give me a word or you give me a poem?
I'll give you a word. I'll give you a word. All right. Gratitude.
Okay. I'm thinking. I'm thinking. I'm thinking. Sometimes I should be grateful for the journey, but I'm not. In other words, the problem is I'm too lost in the present that I can't realize that the presence that was delivered to my doorstep. So I treat it like it doesn't deserve to be at my. Well, let me stop. I was giving it too much attention to not mention the fact that a lot of times there's too much anger and hatred inside me that I'm clenching. So I don't realize that I was delivered everything I was wishing for. So now I start to get warm because a lot of times that's what makes me hot. All right. I probably should stop or slow down just a bit. You ever look in the mirror and just clap because you're artist? Hold up. I don't think y'all hearing this. Okay? You probably don't, and you probably won't because you'll count all your losses before you count your wins. And you see that next win, you already tossed it because you thought what you did wrong again. And the next time you delivered a blessing, all you could see was the surrounding sins. See, I don't understand why you're so mad at how the journey ends without realizing every step that it took for you to make it since it did begin. Okay. I don't mean to be lost in my own reflection. I'm just trying to make sure that what I can see is something that I'm recognizing, not just for recognition, but a lot of times I deter the proper recognition because I'm just like, why is my name not being mentioned?
Mm,
Sometimes you get lost looking for an accolade because you don't realize that the big fish was already caught while you were fishing.
mm, mm,
All right. See, I'm not just trying to have you out at sea looking for the next compliment. I just want you to understand why it is what it is. And sometimes you just got to appreciate what you have because you never know when they're going to take that. Hold this. Just for 1 second. It's just a small message. Okay. I need you to know sometimes life will toss a lot at you and you got to be prepared to catch it.
mm.
Sometimes life will toss things for you to get and it's going to be a dog, but it's fine when you fetch it. Sometimes you look at yourself in the mirror and be like, why? I don't deserve this. But I'm sorry, you are much more than just wretched. Okay. Here's all I'm saying. I'm telling you the truth. Life can make you feel like you're too rude, too aloof, or maybe you're just not in the mood. But those are the times when you got to stare at the sky and give up all that you have, or at least a little gratitude. Well,
Mm.
you thought I was going to
Bruh,
play when you was on my screen? You should have knew I was about to play when you
bruh,
was on that screen.
bruh.
No, now I was about to play that. You should have mm-hmm.
My man, my man. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that was fire, dude. That was fire.
I'm honored. That coming from you, that means a lot, brother. I appreciate you. Because listen, that your pen is amazing. Uh, I'm not going to go into this because we don't have time, but I do have to ask: is there a book coming?
There is one in the works, and like I said, this is my fault, right?
Yeah, because
Like I
you have
s-
enough written. You have the
Oh
words.
yeah, bruh. I got so much. I got so much. I just my biggest issue. I keep going back and either adding more or changing stuff. It's like, well, there's this poem, this other poem that I would want to put in there. I need to just drop it and then start on the next book. So yeah, so I'm working on it. I definitely need that fire lit underneath me about the book. I will be honest. I will be honest. Guilty as charged, man. Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, you. I'm not even. I'll say this while I have you on screen, and I'll be quick about it. Because you have a book, because you do workshops, your book can tie into work. Your book can help you lead others to do what they do. We'll talk later, but that's that. There's more to what that book is than
Yes,
just a book for you because of what you
indeed.
do.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And you
sir.
have a built-in base that will actually sell it and make money because of what you do.
Absolutely.
There's
Yeah.
that. All right.
Yeah.
Shouts out to the business of poetry. So
Oh,
uh thank you. I give you gratitude. Thank you so much for coming on the show, being such a dope guest, and thank you for everything that you're doing in the community. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
no, man. I just want to say thank you, bro. Thank you for having me. Hats off with G Dash. Yo, bro. I'll be honest. I've been listening. I've been watching this show for a couple years, man. And for the longest, I was like, I'm gonna get on there one day. I'm gonna get on there one day. And, bruh, as soon as you hit me up, I'm like, so thank you for having me on the show, man. I appreciate this, man. I appreciate the love and all that.
Yeah. Yes, I appreciate it. You're so dope. As I like to tell the world, listen, I see y'all next Thursday at well actually listen, some of y'all I'm gonna see tomorrow at the Art Loop. Some of y'all I'm gonna see next Thursday on Hats Off. All of y'all I'm gonna see at Thoughts from the Heart. Okay, at the Christina Cultural Arts Center. Check me and my Belardo out. As I always like to say, love yourself first and everything else will fall into place. I holla. Hey.
All right. Peace.